Hey guys, what's going on? So today we have the next part of my CD collection. So last time we left off on the P's, so hopefully we'll finish them, or at least get close to finishing them in this video. There's actually a lot of bands that start with P. But anyways, background listen to Devangelic, Resurrection Denied, cool modern brutal death metal, kind of Consume the Forsaken sounding type of shit. But yeah, really awesome. Put out through Comatose in 2014. So first up, we have... Whoa, I forgot I had this CD. Fuck. Okay, okay, so first up, we have this demo by this band, Petrification, called Summon Horrendous Destruction. God, I haven't listened to this in a minute. It's like that modern, old-school death metal kind of sounding stuff. Like that, like, wannabe old-school death metal type of modern... Bands like Undergang, Tomb Mold, Frozen Soul. If you like that, you'll like this. I remember liking this when I got it, and this isn't like, I don't know if I consider this part of like the wave of bands that came of that style as like a trend, because this came out pretty early into that sort of thing, like in I think like 2016. So yeah, this is a little older for that style, and it's not bad. It's solid, but it is definitely very generic and a little forgettable. I don't remember much of any of the songs on here, but if you like, you know, Frozen Soul, Tomb Mold, Undergang, who else is there? I would say Blood Incantation, but this band doesn't sound that much like Blood Incantation. You know, if you like bands with like the fucking HM2, or not HM2, but like the really mitted out guitar tone and the really reverby, low effort sounding vocals, then you'll like this. I don't know, it doesn't really float my boat that much these days, but very obvious Repulsion worship with the album cover. This isn't bad stuff per se, it's just not my cup of tea, and especially not nowadays. Because at the time that this style first like became more of a thing, before it was like a trend, when it was more like an underground sort of movement, I thought it was really cool because it was like a sort of a response to how like overproduced and clean like modern death metal was getting. But now every fucking band sounds like this, so it's not very interesting or refreshing anymore. Anyways, here's the inside. I remember getting this from Dark Realm Records. But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know how to really sum up my feelings about it. I remember catching on to how generic the style got really quickly before it became like as big as it is now. Because now, I mean, you have people who before were listening to like, okay, because the thing with like these type of bands is it started out as a movement of people who were like really passionate about like obscure old school death metal and wanted to play that style, and it seems like now most of the people who are really into that sort of style are more so people who were listening to like the Black Dahlia Murder and like metalcore bands and stuff like that, which like isn't really a bad thing. I think it's cool that like a more old school sort of style, you know, kind of reached the masses, but I also feel like it got kind of watered down. I don't know, I'm not necessarily gatekeeping it because I don't really care that much about it to begin with. I remember thinking it was really cool at the time this sort of stuff came out, like the early Maggot Stomp bands, a few 20-buck spin bands, but I don't know, the style just ran dry on me very quickly. But yeah, fuck, I don't know if I'll really ever listen to this again. Alright, like I can't see myself, like unless I was really bored listening to this, but like I said, if you like that style, you might like it. That sounds so shitty, but I don't know, I just don't really care about this stuff that much, but Petrification with Summon Horrendous Destruction. Next up, we have some stuff from one of my favorite bands, and I don't really ever talk about them. I got the first two albums by Pig Destroyer. So first up, we have 38 Counts of Battery. Really underrated. I mean, this is a compilation that has the first album, so it's kind of like Devourment's 1 through 8. But it has like their first album and then a shit ton of like splits and stuff like that, because the album's actually like 15 minutes long, but there's like 38 songs on here, and I'm pretty sure more than half of that is stuff that's not the full length. But yeah, really underrated release, just so much energy. I really enjoy Pig Destroyer. I'm not the hugest grind guy, but Pig Destroyer is one of the bands that kind of helped me get into extreme metal in general back in like early high school. So really sentimental shit to me, but one of the things I like about Pig Destroyer is how like artsy they are. I don't know, like their imagery and lyricism is very memorable and meaningful, as opposed to like how a lot of grind bands, you'll just get like black and white album cover with political lyrics, which isn't a bad thing, but I feel like, I don't know, Pig Destroyer, something about their whole shtick is just a little more, has more personality to me. I don't know. I know that a lot of people fucking hate Pig Destroyer just because they are artsy or because they're a more popular, like, Relapse Records kind of band, but I don't really care. I will say I don't care that much for anything beyond Prowler in the Yard. Like, I think Terrifier is okay, and everything after is, like, so-so. The newest album, what was it called, like, Head Cage? I remember that. I really didn't like that album. But, the early shit has so much energy and passion, and, like, it's just really intense, angry stuff. But yeah, really underrated one, so 38 Counts of Battery. And then my favorite, and pretty much everybody's favorite from this band, Prowler in the Yard. Classic for a reason. This is one of the albums that helped get me into extreme metal. You know, super fucking groovy as well. It's another thing I really like. Like, Pig Destroyer has a lot of, I don't know, a lot of shit goes into their sound beyond just traditional grind. You hear some death metal. He even does some, like, kind of guttural sounding vocals on here, which are really sick. And then also the drumming is great on here. I love the original mix. This version I have has both the original and the remaster as, like, two separate discs, but I much prefer the original. I heard the remaster first, but the original, like, the production sounds like the band is, like, right there in your room, like, rehearsing. I don't know how to explain it, but if you've witnessed that sort of sound before, you know what you're in for. Really nice booklet with just a lot of liner notes, you know, the iconic "This is beautiful, this is art" thing from the album intro. Really interesting liner notes about making this album. I know J.R. Hayes went through a lot of really personal shit around the time they made this album, which definitely shows in, like, the content of the album. It's a really dark album, really personal sort of lyrics. I don't know. And this is an album that's always been really meaningful to me and is meaningful to a lot of people. But beyond that, on the surface level, it's just a fun album to listen to. I mean, it's catchy as fuck while also being super energetic and aggressive. People sometimes complain that there's no bass. I think that kind of adds something to it because it feels more sharp and, like, piercing sounding. I don't know how to explain it, but it still has a really punchy sound to it. But yeah, I love this album so much. Pig Destroyer, Prowler in the Yard, definitely one of my all-time favorite. I guess if you want to count grind as metal, one of my favorite. I mean, I would say this is on the more metal side of grind as it is anyways. But this is one of my favorite like, metal albums, or just albums in general, like, ever. Very important album to me. So yeah, Pig Destroyer, Prowler in the Yard. Then for Pig Destroyer, we have a sort of a funny jump. Prostitute Disfigurement, Embalmed Madness, the first album. I need to get the second one, Left in Grisly I think it's like the second or third one, Left in Grisly Fashion. That shit's really good. But anyways, this is just a reissue put out through CDN Records. If you don't know Prostitute Disfigurement, they started out more brutal death metal, really weird, quirky sounding brutal death metal though. There's a little bit of, like, even, like, thrash influence in some of the riffs. It's really weird, but it sounds very, like, perverted sounding. I don't know how to explain it. Really nasty, like, nasally sounding, like, guttural vocals. Really sick shit. I'm pretty sure this band's from the Netherlands. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people skip over this band because either A, they see the band name and think it's goofy, which it kind of is, or B, this band's a little more well known for their newer stuff, which is more like tech death, kind of very polished stuff, but the old shit is nasty. Like, the vocals on here to me sound like a more nasally version of, like, Ruben Rosas from, like, Devourment. It has that sort of sound to it. I'm pretty sure the vocals are cupped on here. Yeah, just nasty fucking shit. Yeah, Prostitute Disfigurement, Embalmed Madness. Really fun stuff to listen to. I don't listen to that one all the time, but it always hits. Next up, we have one of my favorite bands lately, or one of my favorite brutal death bands lately. I have all the full lengths by Putridity. Just super extreme, or I swear to God, that was not a fart. I slipped on this chair. It was like, I don't know if you heard that. Like, anyways, Putridity. Mental Props Induced Necrophilism, their debut album. I have the remaster with the redone art, which I actually like more than the original. And I like the remaster sound more than the original too. If you don't know Putridity, brutal death metal from Italy, one of the more extreme bands in the genre, known for being really, really fast and very technical and blasty. But yeah, the first album is kind of more enmity worship ish. There's more to it than just that, but you can see very obvious Enmity influence on here, which I think is sick because I love Enmity. I know a lot of people really don't, but to me, the fact that there's a band, there the chair goes again. To me, the fact that there's a band that was like most influenced by Enmity is so strange, because Enmity is like about as niche as death metal gets. But fuck, I don't know. This is just a great album, and it's a really underrated one too. A lot of people skip over the first Putridity album because the production's a little more rough around the edges. But there's some great songs on here, and the songs on here are a little more memorable because they have some more groovy sections that are easier to make out what's going on with. But there's some great songs on here. My favorite is Necrophiliac. That's weird. On some versions it says Necrophilic, and on the back of the CD it says Necrophiliac. Necrophiliac Limitations or Necrophilic Limitations, whatever it is. There's a slam in that song that fucking rules. Some other great ones on here are like Abortifacient, Horror Lobotomizer, Molesting Vomited, Decapitation. This whole album rules, and also the demo that's in the bonus tracks is also fantastic. But yeah, Putridity, Mental Prolapse-Induced Necrophilism. Then I have their sophomore, Degenerating, Anthropophagical, Euphoria. If you're new to Putridity, this is probably the best one to start with. This is kind of, like, my favorite is the first one, but this one's kind of like their magnum opus. They found their sound on here for sure, and they got a new vocalist on this album, which, funny, he's also in the band we're listening to right now, Deep Angelic. I forgot his fucking name, but, yeah, this is a fucking masterpiece. Really short album, 9 songs, it's under half an hour, I know that. But yeah, I'm not sure what else I really have to say about this one, but if you listen to it, you know you're in for it. The second you turn it on, it hits you with crazy blast beats and then a bass break, super sick vocals. I mean, this band is just like a brutal death metal fan's wet dream. I mean, really just everything that like people say would like make a band brutal outside of songwriting, like just like superficial shit, like how low the vocals are, how down-tuned the guitars are, how fast and blasty it is. This band like fits the extreme for all of those things. Like, I don't know, the best way I could describe it is just like really brutal shit. That sounds so cringy and like generic to say, but I don't know, Putridity is just one of those bands that's just like, I don't know, if you're a fan of brutal death metal and you like all of the cliches of it, then you'll love Putridity because they just hit that sweet spot. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, just amazing album. Degenerating, Anthropophagical, Euphoria. And then I have their last album from I want to say 2016, or no, 2015. Fuck, they need to put something out new. I don't even know if they're still active. But I'd love a new Putridity album. But Ignominious Atonement, or Ignominious Atonement, I don't know how you pronounce it. Probably my least favorite out of the 3, but still a great album. This one has very processed sounding production, which I'm pretty sure even the band has complained about before. Still a really cool album for sure. I mean, it's pretty much a continuation of the last album, but even more technical and maze-like, which I think is very cool. This album takes a lot of listening to really figure out, but there's a few like slower moments in here, but even then they don't feel very slow because they're filled up with a lot of crazy fast double bass and shit. But yeah, really intense album. There's a really interesting like passage at the end, right here, like really poetic shit. I don't know if you guys want to pause it and read it, but I always found it to be really interesting. I don't have enough time to talk in depth about it, but yeah, fucking, you know, if you like Putridity, you'll like this album, but they don't have a single bad thing in their discography, in my opinion. It's most generally agreed upon, like most people like these two the most, but my favorite is honestly this one. This one just has the most energy to me, even though these are faster and more technical. The debut feels like the most brutal and like passionate to me. I don't know how to explain it, but you could tell like Ciccio, or Ciccio, however you pronounce his name, was like super into like Enmity and crazy shit like that when he made this. And then these two are much more polished and refined. But yeah, love Putridity. Fucking S tier brutal death metal. Next up we have fucking we have some shit from my friend Kian's band, Putrid Tomb. I've got both the demo and the EP. So first is the demo, Consuming the Diseased. Pretty cool. Not perfect. It is, I mean, they were pretty young when they made this, so you could kind of tell, because it is very like, it sounds like Autopsy, you know, it's that sort of style. But I mean, it's not bad by any means, but I think the EP is much more unique, and he really came into his own with the songwriting style. I actually did vocals for this band last summer, playing about like a handful of shows. I think it was like 3 shows. Really fun time. So I know the songs on this EP very well, but it's very unique stuff. Put out through Desert Wastelands, so you'd assume it'd be more of that cookie cutter modern sort of old school death metal, but it's not. This is like if an old school death metal band tried playing like Deeds of Flesh style stuff, because I mean it has like that HM2 kind of buzzy sounding guitar tone and really organic production, but the vocals remind me of like Maddie Way, like Cranial Impalement, or not, maybe not Cranial Impalement, but like Disgorge Demo 95 era Maddie Way. Really sick vocals, and yeah, really angular, creative songwriting. But definitely unique stuff for old school death metal. Even if you're into brutal death metal, then you'll like, and you're not huge on old school death metal, you'll probably still like this. This feels like old school death metal written for people who like more technical brutal death metal. I don't know how to explain it, but really cool shit. You know, if you like Suffocation or like Immolation, like stuff like that, then you'll like this. I'm actually in the thanks list for this, which is really cool. Well, me and my band name, right there, it says Julian and Flesh Mangled. I don't know if you can see. But yeah, really cool. But if you're watching this, thanks Keen, and thanks for giving me all the free shit too, with both of these CDs. But yeah, I can't recommend this shit enough. Go check it out. Not just saying it because it's my friend's band. Like, it is genuinely good music. So yeah, Putrid Tomb, it's just self-titled EP, and then the demo, Consuming the Diseased. And then we have the first 2 Putrid Pile albums. One of the bands that got me into brutal death metal in general. Great shit, both original presses. So First Up Collection of Butchery, this one was put out through United Guttural and Crash Music in like, I want to say like 2001 or 2002. Love this album cover. It's so stupid. Like, it's like the worst CGI ever, but I kind of love it though. It added so much charm. I like the font on the back as well. But yeah, Putrid Pile just has such a, if you don't know Putrid Pile, one-man brutal death metal from Wisconsin. In the vein of like Lividity, but not quite as horny and weird. But very meat and potatoes. If you're new to brutal death metal, this is a really good band to listen to. But anyways, like, fucking, I don't know, Sean has a knack for writing like some of the catchiest fucking riffs. Like the title track, Gallery of Horrors, Drenched in Gasoline. I mean, if you're new to Putrid Pile, Drenched in Gasoline, that's like all you need to hear. That song rules. But Helicopter for Torture is another one of my favorites. Dead in the Alleyway is also great. But yeah, just great meat and potatoes brutal death metal. It's got a little bit of everything. It's not ultra technical, but it is pretty fast and blasty. But it's also got a lot of grooves and like slammy sounding riffs. Yeah, awesome shit. Putrid Pile, Collection of Butchery. I can't decide which I like more out of the first 2. Probably Collection of Butchery, but I also have the sophomore is probably equally as good. The Pleasure and Suffering. This one was put out through Gorgiastic Records in 2005, it says. I think, yeah. This artwork reminds me of like an Adult Swim cartoon. I don't know if you guys see it, but I think that's kind of funny. There's the back. This one's got even more clean production. The programmed drums sound a little more realistic on here. Like, if I didn't know that it was a drum machine, I would have thought they were just very triggered. I love this band photo of Sean. I always thought this fit there was really hard. There's the disc. But yeah, there's some great songs on this album. Like Food for the Maggots is one of the most popular, and that was like, I'm pretty sure, like the first song I heard from Putrid Pile. But My Inner Demon also rules. Battered Bitch, Rush Hour Killing Spree, Strangle, The Fucking Cunt. Great shit. Yeah, again, more meat and potatoes brutal death metal. Not horribly different from the first album. There's a little more variation in the grooves on here. Like, he does these like Herda breakdowns, or like a lot of people refer to them as triplets, but like, you know, riffs are like da-da-dun, 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 like that like gallop. I know it's commonly referred to as like a Herda and like actual like jazz music and shit, but in metal people are fucking stupid and call it a triplet just because it's groups of 3. But anyways, fucking My Inner Demon has a breakdown like that that's really sick, and I'm pretty sure Food for the Maggots has one too. But yeah, this album rules. Future Pile, Pleasure and Suffering. And then I guess I'll just finish off the P's. I have a few more. Fuck, what is this? I haven't listened to this in ages. This looks like just like, I think it's just classical music. Presti, Lagoda, Duos, Baroque. Like classical guitar shit. We have Pyrexia, Cerebral Serial. You guys should all know Pyrexia if you're into brutal death metal. If you're not, brutal death metal from the Netherlands. Fast and blasty, kind of maze-like. If you like Disgorge, Gorgasm, but it's not quite as technical as Disgorge. It's kind of more akin to, I'd say, Gorgasm. You can hear a little bit of early Cannibal Corpse influence on here as well. Very meat and potatoes, and not my favorite album ever, but a very good album nonetheless. Love the album cover. Great John Zig artwork. I actually have a long sleeve of this. Probably one of my favorite shirts. But yeah, this came out in Unique Leader in like 2001. And it, you know, it sounds like that style, like just a really blasty brutal death metal, which is one of my favorite styles, really. I've always loved this band photo because one of them has like a Quake shirt, which just shows how like late 90s or 2000s this stuff is. Yeah, awesome album. Pyrexia, Cerebral Serial. Don't really have much to say. It's a very meat and potatoes sort of brutal death metal album. Great shit. Last but definitely not least, another classic brutal death metal album. Pyrexia, Sermon of Mockery. I have the remaster / reissue with this shitty redone art, but the remaster actually sounds very good. But bonus tracks, it has the Liturgy of Impurity demo and then the Hatred, Anger, and Disgust EP. The demo's good. I don't care that much about the EP, but I always listen to this primarily for the full length. If you don't know Pyrexia, legendary brutal death metal, like very early brutal death metal from New York. Like fuck, I forgot what year this even came out. I know it was pretty early, like 93 or 94. But yeah, if you like Suffocation, then you'll like this. It's pretty similar, but a lot more evil sounding. And I'd say it grooves a little harder as well. If you like Internal Bleeding, you'll also like this, but it's not quite as slammy. In that sense, it's kind of more akin to Suffocation, where there's a lot of fast parts that build up to the slammy parts. Which, I mean, Internal Bleeding has that as well, but it's just there's more slammy, groove-oriented sections, whereas with Pyrexia, there's only a few of those per song, but the riffs just go really hard on here, especially in the title track. My favorite on here is Inhumanity. That has a great slam in it. And then Demigod is also great. But yeah, really amazing album though, nonetheless. Very important album for this genre. I need to do a review for this sometime. I know it's been like months since I've done any album reviews, but after I'm done with my CE collection series, which I'm getting there, then I'll start doing that again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this booklet's pretty big from what I remember. Yeah, you have like all these like band photos and stuff. But yeah, this album rules. Very sharp production. I remember the first time I listened to this, it was like kind of hard on the ears, but you get used to it. And I don't know what else to say really. If you like New York brutal death metal, then you should probably already know this one. And if not, and you're new to brutal death metal in general, this is a pretty important album to listen to, I'd say. Or if you like old school death metal and you haven't heard this, but you like Suffocation and like Cryptopsy, then this is like a no-brainer. You gotta check this out. But yeah, Pyrexia, Sermon of Mockery, awesome shit. So yeah, I guess that's it for this video though. We're at like almost 25 minutes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed though. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.